All right, the zone is activated. We are here. We are ready to go. And we are talking about what we do when we work with Abrahamic spirits and also how, if any, offerings that we give. So let me send some invites out because we got some in here. Hello, hello. Hey guys, what's going on? Also, Hannah, I saw your tweet
Hello.
earlier about makeup radically changing your face. Yeah, I feel like I
Yeah,
don't look like me if I don't have eyeliner on. Like, I just
yeah.
don't look
I
like
put on
myself.
eyeliner for the first time today in maybe a year, and I'm like, who is this person? Like,
Time today,
Right? It's like
maybe.
the
yes.
No,
makeup game
see,
changed
here's
me.
my thing with makeup. I'm a Scorpio rising, so I can put the most minimal amount of makeup on and I look like I have a completely beat face. Like right now, all I have is my brows and my eyelashes are done and like little highlighter on like here and whatever, but I look contoured. Tell me
Hmm.
why.
I have a
Scorpio
filter
rising.
on that does that for me.
I don't use
Nah,
filters. I get really freaked out seeing myself with filters on. It like I don't know. I just think
yeah,
I look like an
sometimes the filters
alien
do
when I
too
have a
much.
filter on. Me
Same.
personally.
Hello,
And
hello,
that I think is a
everyone.
Scorpio rising thing, 'cause I think it
Yeah.
accentuates the weird, like, that being a Scorpio
No,
rising
yeah.
gives you. I don't know.
See, Sagittarius rising means I look like I'm seven no matter what. Like, so I just look like a baby all the time. And it's
Well,
just,
I
it's
mean, that's
great.
a good thing because you're going to be like 60 and you'll still look 30. And you know what? You'll be happy for
Fair,
it.
Yeah, right.
fair.
I'm 25. I'm gonna be 26 next month, and I have two children, and I still get ID'd to buy lighters at the like grocery store because they think I look under 18. So you know what?
Under
I'll take
18.
it.
Oh my God.
Damn, just rolling in there
Especially
like,
I walk
hi,
around like
yes.
this kind of shit with like pink hair. Yeah, I fucking look under 18. I mean, like, come on.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Oh, God. But okay, I think we're just waiting on Mimi if she's not already
Mhm.
in here. But yes, hello everyone. Thank you guys for joining. I literally like got here in the nick of time. I
Yeah.
have been just kind of nonstop going. This is why I said later when I hang out with Lucifer, stiffest drink in a book.
Oh,
That's
I
all.
thought you were drinking at that point when you said it, and I
No,
was like, wow, that's early on in the day. Good for you,
no,
I
Sarah.
know.
no.
I was like, damn, Lucifer's
Well,
got
later.
high demands.
No,
You know what? Actually, it's funny on the demon altar. My cousin had a birthday party and like they had just Cuban cigars laying around for people to take. So I just took one and I plopped it on the altar. I'm like, there you go, bud. There you go.
interesting.
It was
Oh
interesting.
my
I was like,
God.
okay, I'm not going to use this because we don't smoke, but I'll take it for Lucifer. I feel like he
Yeah,
likes
you can
fancy
take,
things.
and either way, you can cut it open and use the tobacco and spell work.
Hmm.
That's
I've done that
I'm a
before.
big
I've
skeptic of
like
that.
cut open cigars and I've taken like the tobacco and I have it on my altar that I use in like spell work.
See, and that's a great segue point to talk about offerings because so many like old witchcraft and pagan books will be like, you should never give your deities an offering that you wouldn't give to yourself. That's so not true. Like, if you
No.
don't drink wine, but you want to give your deity wine, that's okay. Like,
Well, I
Well,
mean,
also
I have like the
because
opposite end of the spectrum there, and like, I mean, we could talk more about that, but like, same thing with me. I give my deities rotten fruit because I'd rather put it in my yard and feed it to like nature in honor of my deities versus put it in a landfill. But
yeah,
I would not eat rotten fruit,
right.
oh
but
yeah, and I mean
they're
same
fine
thing
with
with me.
it.
Just like, I mean, just like my tree friend outside, he gets all the kitchen scraps. I mean, now I have a composter,
Exactly.
but it's the same idea where I'm just like, do you want the ends of this cucumber? Here you go, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
I should preface, I don't have rotten fruit in my fridge all the time, but I am a mom, and sometimes, you know, like there'll be a bag of grapes that gets lost in there because
Yeah.
it
yeah,
happens.
The kids just shove them back there.
That's yeah, that's it. Bye, never to be seen again.
Hmm.
Because smoking is yeah. If you quit this, if you're planning on quitting smoking, and like that actually could be motivation. Cut it open and give the nicotine to your. It doesn't matter what kind of cigarette or tobacco it is. It could be whatever.
Hmm.
So
got kicked out of your. Oh my god,
I
I'm so
got kicked out
sorry
of my
that
mom's
happened.
house too.
What the
I'm glad you're here.
I hope you're
I'm
somewhere
sorry you got
safe and
kicked
like
out.
solid.
Yeah, please
Dang.
be
Yeah,
safe and
it's okay. It's
oh
funny. I
well,
feel
okay.
you there.
Is it funny
Well,
though?
is it like funny in like the ha ha way, or in the funny in the like if I don't laugh about it, I'm gonna cry because it's traumatic kind of
Okay,
way?
you're with your dad. Okay.
Okay.
We got safe
Okay.
people. Good, good.
Okay, because I'm
I
just
can
like,
laugh
where
at my
are you?
story now.
Do we know if
Goodness.
Mimi said she was gonna be a couple minutes or?
I have
She's got
not
four
looked at
kids. I
Discord.
mean,
Yeah, when somebody with four kids says 8 o'clock, it's really more like 8:15, 8:20, 8:30.
yeah,
You know, you
Which
sometimes
is fair.
gotta.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
I have two,
That's
so
fair, yeah.
usually like my 8 o'clock is like 8:10. You know, today I only have one child though, which is why I was punctual. And that one
See,
child is sick, so I mean, my other child's with my mom. He didn't like disappear. You know,
Well,
he's
that's good.
he didn't just completely despawn. No, see, well,
he
I have no kids,
spontaneously
and
like just went
my
away, guys. No, no, no. He's
no,
with
I,
my
I
with my
have no
mom.
kids, and my 8 is still like 8:05 at the earliest. So
No, I'm
That's
like, I
Virgo
gotta
it's
light
fine
time.
all
with
the
time.
candles. I gotta make sure I'm prepping
Uh,
the merch. Like, all kinds of stuff to handle.
How does be?
I
Oh,
just
Here's Mimi.
me.
We're gonna talk about lots of Christian witchery stuff tonight to answer those questions.
We're gonna see an up close and personal picture of Mimi while I get everything set up because my children had emotional meltdowns and regulation is important to our family, and so I have been an emotional mediator for the last hour.
That's all right.
That's always fun.
Good job, Mama.
dude, damn,
So
I can't regulate myself. So God bless you.
no, I really think Maggie has a PDA profile in her autism because she has a literal meltdown every time she is forced to do something, whether she's hungry. But if I'm like, okay, it's time for supper, she loses her shit. I'm not hungry. I can't eat. Da 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 da. And then like 20 minutes later, she goes, "Mom, my stomach hurts," and I'm like, "Eat some food." No, I can't eat that. It's her like we made quesadillas.
Listen, sometimes your favorite food is just not your favorite food that day.
Yeah.
Like I get that
Yeah.
part.
Which is fair. I just keep thinking how my mom would handle this, and like, it's a good thing my mom only had me. She can't handle anything. She's very impatient. She wouldn't be able to do it.
Let me go get my, and I mean, I'm to the point where like, okay, your choices are like, it's the day before groceries, so I'm like, your choices are you will have a hungry tummy and a cheese stick, or you will have supper. Like, this is what I got, kid. I got nothing. It's grocery day tomorrow, you know.
Yeah.
Eat it. Let me go get my drink and my notebook real fast. Hang on.
Okay, while we're all settling in, doing good. Someone said, "Do I need my Bible? Shall I light my candles?" You can do whatever you'd like. I've got my Bibles for reference. Do I know exactly what verses I'm looking for? No, but I know that they're in there.
I got my
I know that they're in there.
behind me. The
They're
Christian
behind.
altar.
Hey, I've got my
I have
couch.
Jesus lit. This dude is like so small at this point.
Oh my
No.
gosh. I have
I
the
don't know how I
Christian
keep getting
witch,
it lit.
the Christian deity altar, and because it's Tuesday, I have Aries' candle lit in the corner.
I was
But
literally about to ask why, and I'm like, no, Lena, it's Mars Day. Come on, you're the astrologer. You know this.
I'll give you
yes.
guys a hint of who I have lit.
Okay, but I don't
Is
know.
it the
What is that?
Morgan?
That's the Morgan.
Yeah.
Y'all invited Deities? I'm just sitting here. I'm freezing because for some reason it's cold as. It was like
Oh,
80
I
degrees for
always
2 days.
have
Now it's
Jesus
cold as
lit when
hell.
I go live. I
Yeah.
personally always have him lit when I go live for like protection, just because, you know.
For me, it's just like an honoring, like acknowledgement thing. Like, oh yeah, it's Tuesday. What's up, Aries? Like,
See, I personally like, I work with Lilith more on Tuesdays because I associate her with the sign Scorpio, and Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and Mars is on Tuesdays.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I like really just will do the Lord's Prayer and then be like, God, what are we talking about right now? And then that's about it.
Yeah.
I haven't actually done like offerings and stuff for a really long time. I support witches, but y'all be burned by Christians in the wrong time or place. I mean, yeah, but like
Heck
lots of
yeah!
people were burned by Christians. Like, I don't think you understand the extent of the Inquisition. It was a lot of people involved in that.
Why I
So
don't really
Christians
leave the house.
generally sucking throughout history isn't really any bearing on me at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately. Oh, we got a kitty.
I want to say. Yeah, I was about to say I have chronic pain. They would have said bye bye to me
hmm
a long time ago.
I got a big mouth.
I also have a bad. I talk back to men, so they would have definitely burned me.
No, literally, like
Hmm.
my mom and I talked to. She was watching what is that like Outlander or something where they got sucked back into like ancient, not ancient, but like
Yeah.
Scotland. And she's like, I'd have to dress up as a guy. I wouldn't be able to. I'm like, yeah, no, me neither.
No.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
I'm queer.
But
Wouldn't have worked.
I just
all
like
right.
I'm not into it. Like that's that. Just I'm not into it.
I just can't deal with that.
I just won't do that.
Mhm.
Like
That's what I'm saying. When people are like romanticizing the past, they're like, "Oh, they're from era." I'm like, no, no.
no.
If I was gonna be a witch in any era, it would probably be like when Greece was up and coming, because then I would have been an oracle, and that would have been great. Like, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
With the weird
I've
exception of
actually
being lusted after by old guys. But that's not even a difference now in America.
Yeah.
that's
I love the old school, like the fluffy dresses from the Renaissance. I would love to like run through a field in a billowing dress, but here in 2023, I don't want to go back to that time period. I just want
It's a
yeah.
cute aesthetic and everything else. But fun little question. Favorite scent of incense?
Ooh, I really like
Dragon's
Dragon's
blood.
Blood. I know that's so cliche,
No,
but
it
I
is.
do really like it.
I
I'm
do.
allergic to incense, so I don't use them.
Oh,
But I like to
fair.
diffuse essential oils, and I think my favorite is like pine, or like any kind of like spruce or tree oil. I like them to connect with the divine feminine. They're good for protection and grounding. And I'm a Taurus, so I like any earthy smells.
I actually really like frankincense. Like the one that I have smells exactly like a church, and it's just kind of nostalgic. But I also like cinnamon incense. That one's really good too.
Oh my,
Oh my goodness.
fucking god.
Someone
Y'all are
goes, "Can you
lucky I
explain what it
love
means to be
you.
a witch?" And
Go.
also like, okay, you know what? Let's do like a 2-for-1. So explain what it means to be a witch and summarizing our beliefs. So what does it mean to be a witch to us and our beliefs? Let's just go around. So I guess I'll start. To me, being a witch just means anyone who like understands mysticism and knows how to have a direct one-on-one communication with the spirits that make up the world, whether that's your deities, the plants outside, anything else that might, I don't know, pop into your space, because they do that, and someone who understands how to use their own
I swear
life
to
energy to affect change in the world. And I guess my practice is really just kind of like me and God fighting, like 9 times out of 10, just like wrestling a lot.
All right, Israel.
My
You know why it
God.
means that now? Because earlier today I was like half swinging. I was like, God, if you were physically in front of me right now, I would be like a child on his shoulder, and I'd be kicking and screaming, because
Yeah.
all the time.
That's you know that story I'm referencing, right? When like, oh my, when
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
okay,
I love that. I love that he just
yeah.
wrestled an angel to the ground until he got a blessing.
He was like, I'm gonna get this. That's you, like for realsies.
Yeah, that's all right.
Do you want?
That's the only way
Do
it
you want to
works.
go? Hannah, you want to explain what you think
Yeah.
being a witch is next?
So it's so like I think a lot of what I want to bounce off of what Sarah said, but also I feel like there needs to be some kind of distinction because there's lots of people who like practice magic but wouldn't necessarily consider themselves witches. They would consider to themselves like ceremonial magicians, and not everyone who is a pagan identifies as a witch. And the lines get so blurred and there's so many gray areas, but I feel like the idea of like casting spells and performing magic that maybe isn't always super rigorous. Like I personally don't fast for 19 days and then do this really intense ritual that I've been preparing for a year. That's more of a ceremonial magician thing. And there's nothing wrong with ceremonial magicians. Props to them because they do some really intense and difficult stuff. But for me, my practice is more so I'm going to do like this spell that at max is going to take me like an hour. while also, working alongside various deities, primarily the Christian deities. I am a Christian, which we all are, obviously. And like, you can find all kinds of books on like Bible-based magic and Christian witchcraft and learning about that and learning about who Jesus is my practice.
That's a good answer. Mimi, would you like to go next, or would you like me to go before you?
Can you please go? I'm going to scream otherwise.
Sure. So I personally like classify my practice into two separate categories. I have my public practice and then my personal practice. So for me, my personal practice is a lot about healing and like emotional health and like, physical health and just like coping with life in general and like using that as an outlet for mental wellness and like in the way of like I do a lot of journaling and like talking to others and like like doing like a lot of shadow work in that sense and like doing spells that help me visualize what I'm feeling in my personal practice. But then in my so then I'll like that's so I work with like more like Jesus and that, and then like Saint Paul. He's up my ass all the time with healing stuff, and like like Lilith's a lot like there for like really like my personal practice, Venus as well. And then I have my more public practice with, for me, I like kind of define it as like faith without works is dead. So like for me, I share a lot of like knowledge that I've acquired or like Bible verses that I've used or like things that have worked for me with other people, because I feel like that's the way that God wants me to apply my practice, if that makes sense. So while necessarily like on TikTok, I educate about like one thing, in my personal practice I usually do like another that's like a little bit stepped back or like whatever. But you could basically like describe me as a chaos witch, because it's just whenever it gets done, it gets done. Sometimes I'll have to do two spells at once. Like I had to do a warding spell, and then I also had to do like a birthday blessing for my friend. So I put it on the same plate, put a salt line between them, and just like did two candles. And was like, all right, you're doing this one, you're doing this one, casted them at the same time. You kind of just, I just get it done when it needs to get done. Very much like what Hannah was saying there. But that's, yeah, I guess I have like two practices. That was crazy. That's why they're like, hello. But yeah.
I feel like we all do. Honestly, the amount of magic I actually do is very little because I just like a lot of times there's a mundane solution first. So like if I'm using magic, it means something is direly fucked up.
So I have chaos in my house. Obviously, there's just chaos. My practice is, so I'm a granny witch. I'm an Appalachian folk witch. It is steeped in Christianity with syncretisms of indigenous culture and hoodoo, because of the way everything was a melting pot in Appalachia. That's not saying yes or no to any of those things, but it is saying that in my ancestor work, I am honoring them by recognizing that they are part of my bloodline instead of ignoring it. I do a lot of things with like, if you don't stop, shh. Jasper also apparently wants everyone to know that he is part of the familiar territory here as my current anxiety guardian. It's the phone! Stop!
Is he the anxiety guardian or is he the anxiety?
Yeah, right.
But like, because of the way we practiced, we called on God and Jesus. And the more I've dug, the more I realized that a lot of things that man did in the name of church was actually wrong. So like I'm building on that, pulling in Asherah and Mary Magdalene. And it's really just, the Morrigan is definitely the one who helps me dig into that ancestor work, because she was part of my family's line for so long. And she is very much like, when I did all my genealogy and my family tree, there was a whole lot of Celtic influence, especially in the northern part of Scotland. So we're just chilling, just me and her, and well, God is still like is God and Jesus, and then it's like Mary and Morrigan and Asherah like there, and then like all everything else is like underneath it. So that's all it is. It's there's magic everywhere, but really it's just a matter of like using what you got to make it work. And now I'm gonna go put Jasper in the basement. I'll be right back.
Which is kind of that's like a lot of what witchcraft is, though. Like when we think of that traditional image of like the witch with her cauldron and like all the crap all over her house, that's because witchcraft was literally like use what you can find practice. So that cauldron is
Mhm.
what she cooked in. That and like all these herbs are what she foraged from her surrounding area. But all that aside, hi, I had a thought, and it's God. Oh, someone asked a really good question in here though, which was, do you find deities to have unique ways they work with other people? Like, do they show up different for people? I say one of the best way you can verify who you're working with is some similarities between other practitioners, but they do absolutely like just like you with your friends, you're not the same person to each one of your friends. So too are these deities slightly different for everyone they work with. They have like a basic general vibe, but they can do a lot of shady stuff. They can they can wear masks. They can do a lot of different things. Angels can be very different depending on what kind of mask they're wearing, like very different.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point where some might mistake an angel for a demon if they don't realize what mask the angel is wearing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I have a perfect example of this. I made a video the other day, maybe yesterday, talking about how I was kind of it was supposed to be funny, like in a lot of the Goetic or Solomonic myths, Asmodeus is said to give very straightforward and blunt answers, and I'm like, not in my tarot readings, he doesn't. And someone in the comments was like, well, if Amadeus isn't being straight up, he does that because he doesn't like you. Listen, we have a great relationship. He likes me very much. It's just one of those things where he's like, why are you asking me things that you already know? I'll pull a card and it's like an anxiety card. It's like Nine of Swords. I'm like, I know that. What else you got for me? And then I pull like another, like Three of Swords, and I'm like, I know. Like, that kind of thing. So, yes, they can present themselves very differently. Or, like, a lot of times, if I'm making a candle for a customer for Asmodeus, again, I'll be like, what do you want in this candle? And he's like, you know. And I'm like, no, I don't. What? So, some people just see those deities in very different lights depending on the practitioner.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I think one of my best examples is Loki, because everyone else describes Loki as like, I don't know, some child eating plastic in the corner, but like he always came off very like quite serious for me, like not like super deadly serious, but like when I talk to Loki, he's got a slight like trickster element that like he could screw with me at any time, but he's more like I don't know,
Well, I think
not
that's
somber,
because
but
it's because you were asking about him and his story, though, and he has a very sad story.
yeah, his
If you
story
look
is
at the
kind of screwed
mythology.
up. So
Mhm.
he was definitely like, yo, you want to hear his story, and so that was that. I didn't expect him to be doing God's errands for God because I hadn't listened to God for like a solid 3 weeks at that point. And Loki's like, hey, by the way, here's the same message God gave. I'm like, for
Yep.
what? For why?
Yeah, but Loki has fun doing that.
I was shook. It was the first date interview I did, and I was like, what the hell is going on?
Hmm.
Loki has some really intense energy. I for me, he's not as much of like a child, like eating plastic in the corner, as he's like, because I do like loosely work with Loki. I feel like he's really here, more so to like take over with my youngest child. My youngest child is like literally the incarnation of chaos, like quite literally. So he's kind of here like lurking around him, and like for me to just understand where that chaos comes from, you know what I'm saying, and like how to deal with it, and like cope with it more than anything. So he's not as like playful with me. I mean, he is sarcastic. Most of my deities show up with me as sarcastic, but I think that's because I am sarcastic. So if they didn't, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to talk to them, kind of thing. um so he's a little sarcastic, but he is. I get a more serious vibe from him too. He's a very like stern parent in the
Yeah.
sense like, oh, this is just how kids are, and you either deal with it and like learn to embrace the chaos, or you sink. And that's really like that's him with me.
Loki
Which is
is
fair.
like he's like an older brother, like the older brother that will totally mess with you and pull pranks on you and when the time is right. But like if anyone messes with you, he's gonna fuck their shit up type thing. So and he very much has the capacity to be serious. I very much view him as like a god of righteous anger, and he understands
Hmm.
grief and
Yeah.
has like if you read his story is devastating, but still has that like I like what did I have goldfish on his altar right now and silly string. So uh
No. I mean, like, he came into my life at and I like the way that you say like anger that or like or righteous anger that makes a lot of sense because like he came into my life like right after I was rear-ended by a drunk driver and she got away with it.
yep.
So like I was angry about it for legitimate reasons. And my life had been like was just devolving into chaos, and that's when he like came into my life, kind of thing. So it makes a lot of sense.
I was
But
also
yeah.
very angry when he came into my I had Loki and Aries come into my life around the same time, which should have told me something, but
Uh,
No, I find it interesting because like he Loki's come into like my life and like showing me signs, but then for my husband, like he's gotten like kind of like little signs from hell, and I'm like, well, that's like particularly interesting because if I'm working with her dad, like, what do we
yeah.
just like bring the whole family into the party here?
That does tend to happen. I don't work with Hell, but I have a candle for her because she sends me spiders if I don't give her a candle, and I don't like spiders. So I'm like, you can have a candle. Like like I just noticed the spiders stopped coming when I made a candle for her. So I'm like, this is what we're gonna do now. Ugh.
Yeah,
See, no, I
that
live
is
in the
not
woods, so I
the
just
move.
have bugs. But no, you know
I
what?
do.
Okay,
I live in
so
the woods and I have bugs too, but I don't do bugs. Who
okay,
does bees?
yeah.
Who sends bees?
My Artemis and Diana are associated with bees, I think.
How about like do wasps count with that?
I want to
Potentially.
say like Bridget too, but I don't know.
I don't know. Or like any god of like the wild things, like that could even be Kernunos.
Honestly, like
I got wasps.
with how important bees are in Slovenia, I would say like probably could sneak too, because like they go so hard for bees for no reason. But yeah, no, I would
No,
say Bridget probably. Wasps
I don't want to
are
be God. So like me personally, um,
Well, and
whoever
of
that is,
course, I have arachnophobia. Like no, like I am
yeah.
terrified of spiders, and like so many Lilith, Loki, hell,
Oh
like
yeah.
spiders. Why?
Oh yeah. I was recording an episode of the podcast because I have a podcast called the Jesus Witch Podcast where I talk about all this stuff and I ramble about it. But I was recording an episode about Lilith and how I work with her and whatnot. And this bitch, she put a freaking spider on my son's tablet. So I couldn't grab the tablet to distract him so that I could like record the episode. And I'm like, Lilith, you've been begging me for over a year to do this episode, and now you send me a spider on the tablet, the device that's going to help me record this episode. Oh my god, I was like crying. It was not good.
no.
It was not.
The other
Someone,
night,
But then a wasp got in my house the other day. I'm highly allergic to wasps, so if a wasp comes in my house, I'm out of my house. Like I spent 6 hours outside because I was waiting for my husband to get home because I didn't want to get stung by a wasp. So me and the kids just spent the day outside. Anyway, but I saw the spider like following the wasp around trying to get it, and I'm like, thank you, Lilith. You're doing the Lord's work right now. You're
see
trying to
that
get this.
that's why I was there. No, the other night, like my boyfriend was like writing something down, like we were both in bed, the light was on, but then all of a sudden, like I'm already half asleep, and he just jolts, and I look up, and there's a spider just came down from the ceiling, like right in his face, and he was like, "Oh," so he just closed the book on it, and I was like, "Oh, that's gross, but okay."
someone
Like,
asked what. I mean, we'll talk about offerings in a second, but someone else asked like, what signs would Jesus or God send if they're reaching out to you? Which I think is a great question. In the infancy Gospel of Thomas, and I believe in the Quran, there are mentions of Jesus as a child making birds out of clay and they would come to life. So, like sparrows, I think would be
Mhm.
a decent sign. If you crave bread and oil all of a sudden, that's
Or
probably
wine,
yeah.
Or a
honestly.
good mojito. Mint.
Or you
Jesus
see
loves a good
whatchamacallit.
mojito.
Yeah, mint. Whatchamacallit, you start seeing like random mint growing in your backyard, like that you didn't plant kind of thing. Um, oh gosh, if the Sun Tarot card keeps popping up for you, or like
Yeah.
strength, if you're doing like a deity reading, those kinds of things. Eagles, if you see eagles outside, that's like I would associate that with him. I was going through a particularly hard time in my life after we moved up here, and I get this like weird urge to go out of my house and look up, and I go outside and I look up, and this huge ass eagle is circling my house, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, it was so good because of the verse in Isaiah, you know what I'm saying? Also, alternatively, if you keep seeing lions places, which like, like not like real, lions, unless you live somewhere where lions are wild. Um, I mean, technically I live somewhere where mountain lions are wild, so I could be seeing lions. But anyway, I'm talking like, like you go to like a store like CVS and there's not there's plushies there, but there's not normally a lion and you see a lion kind of thing.
Right.
I would say like
Doves,
things
that's a
like
good
that.
sign. Doves are
What?
signs.
Doves, yeah, doves.
For me, it's
Um,
like I don't even get signs. I just get the most intense like like drilling in my ear, which
yeah.
is like this. That's like what I feel when I'm pulling cards. So when I get that, God's like, "Hey," and I'm just like, I am literally on the couch and I'm nowhere near my cards. You're gonna have to save that message.
Yeah. Well, what
Like
I'll
now.
do is if that's happening and I like don't have cards, I kind of just be like, all right, what's going on? I'll close my eyes and I'll try to like listen for any messages or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll get a song. Well, this might be particular for me because I listen to an ungodly amount of music every day. I think I like stream like probably like 5 or 6 hours of music a day. It's really like it's unhealthy. But anyway, so I'll get like a song in my head 9 times out of 10, and then I'll like think about the meaning of that song, like what lyrics stick out to me, what are like applicable to what I'm going through, and I'll kind of be able to deconstruct like what um is there. That's why I like music so much. It's really a spiritual experience for me. It's kind of how I talk to.
That's something that we can touch on too in a moment, but someone asked if we worship Jesus and God like any other deities, so that can kind of we can finally get to the actual topic of tonight's show 35 minutes in.
We've been talking
How
Yeah.
about good information, Hannah. It's
we
okay.
have we have
Signs and offerings and all kinds of stuff.
Signs,
how
offerings, same things.
how we work with them. So I personally try to view them within the same lens that I view the pagan gods, because that personally helps me with my deconstruction journey. Because if you look at the pagan gods and understand that their mythology is not meant to be taken literally, then you can look at the Christian gods and realize that the Bible is not meant to be taken literally. And there might be, I don't know what your guys, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I don't know what your guys' opinion is on God making mistakes, because in pagan traditions, the gods make mistakes all the time. So for people who are maybe entering the
Mm.
Christian witchcraft path, the idea that God might make mistakes sometimes can be comforting. I think that it can help with like deconstruction and a lot of healing to view them with the same lens that you would view the pagan gods.
Okay, but here's where my brain,
Yeah.
my depression brain goes. If God makes mistakes, then I'm a mistake.
No,
So I'm gonna prefer to not think that God
no,
makes
no,
mistakes.
no,
So
no, no.
I mean, there's like comforting angles to both ideas. Like, if God doesn't make mistakes and like things happen for a reason, you can trust that He's got a plan.
yeah.
I do think though, with Noah's Ark, with the world flooding, God was like, "Shit, I messed up. We gotta delete this." And so it was like, oops, it was like a redo. But then also when Moses is talking to God, and God just like smells in the air that fuckery is afoot, and he's like. He's like, I'm about to absolutely ruin this nation. And Moses is like, whoa, 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 whoa. So Moses has to like talk him off that ledge, which is a very like human thing for God to do, to have to be talked off that ledge. It's kind of like, damn.
Yeah. I think that can be really comforting for some people to be like,
Hmm.
maybe this isn't as um evangelically perfect as you've been conditioned to believe type
No,
thing.
I like thinking that God's perfect and that like everybody else makes mistakes because I think that that's like easier for me just because like I don't know I almost see spirituality for me as somebody who like not for nothing I live like with like a basic baseline pain scale of a 6 to a 7 every day. So for me like when I'm working with my deities I'm trying to escape in a sense, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think that that's something that if that's how you work with spirit and that's how you connect with them right now, that's totally fine. So for me like thinking that God doesn't make mistakes, that this is being used in some sort of way. One, that helps me a lot, like just cope with it mentally, like what I'm going through. And two, like thinking, oh, like he's perfect. So one day, I'm going to join him in this like little perfect place, in this little perfect bubble, and I'm not going to feel like this. So that also helps me as well. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's more comforting for me to have that like, a perfect, all knowing, like gonna use everything. Like, but I also will be the first to admit that out of all four of us, I probably have the most evangelical view still of God just because of like how I view him. But I like think he's like cool evangelical, not like weird evangelical, but
Yeah.
like I still definitely have certain parts where my faith is not, and I wouldn't say it's like not like firstly I think nobody's fully deconstructed. You will never be fully deconstructed. That's a forever path, right? But I also just think for me, I genuinely liked the evangelical church and like the structure and a lot of the viewpoints. I just didn't like the condescendingness, the hating people for who they are-ness, like the sending people to hell because they don't agree with us, and like that just wasn't my vibe. But everything else I really liked. But now I do that, but I add like a little bit of witchy to it because I'm a witchy person. So that's okay. Sorry, end rant.
What did I miss?
Talking about whether or not we think God is perfect.
So I believe in omnism, which means that the spirit is in everything and everywhere. I also believe that what we see as God and Jesus and all the apostles here is the same as like what the pantheons are in other countries. It's all the same because there are so many similarities and so many stories that I swear to God, child, if you get down here one more time. Anyway, is God perfect? I think God has an amazing amount of wisdom to give us what we have, and we as humans have fucked it up. But if he was not at least close to perfect, then how would he have known the process of things? How would he have known that this would be this and good for you, and this would be this and good for you, and this is like the layers upon layers of reality that I have laid out for you, and then you make these decisions, and then this is what like if we are made in his image, then we have the aspiration to be nearly perfect, but knowing we cannot be perfect means that if God is really like me and loves me, he's probably not 100% perfect either. Like, even 99% is not 100%.
Right.
Which is fair. I also think
But then,
like,
in my listen, this is how you know I'm still evangelically trained because in my brain I hear that and then I'm like, well, but his ways are higher than mine because heaven's higher than earth. So like he could be like me, but also not be like me. You know what I'm saying? And that also
there's
gives,
that
but that gives
separation.
me comfort, me personally. You know,
Well,
like
because it's
that's
kind of
just
like yeah, and I see where you're coming from because it's like you got this like literally broken ally basically like busted, like he can just basically do anything. Like that's pretty
yeah.
big, especially like when we talk about Jesus too specifically. Like he's out here dropping the most esoteric secrets of. This is why he's like, I talk in parables so no one understands. The entire gospel is a parable. He's out here dropping the most ridiculous magic secrets, which the biggest one is if you believe in what you're doing, it's gonna work. The end. Yep. Like, Jesus was just like, yep, cool, done. Like, at some point, just someone giving him a back talk, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, fixed. Like the Syrophoenician woman. She's like, well, even the dogs get crumbs from the kid's table, and he's like, shit, you know what? Your kid's fixed just because you said that. The end. Like, he's out there just doing that. So knowing that you have someone who's basically busted on your side like that is very comforting. And for me, I view God as a writer, which is probably kind of like egotistical because I'm also a writer. But the way I see it, like, my characters go through some messed up stuff and some horrible things. Does that make me a bad person? No. It means that there's a story that needs to be told. Likewise,
Hmm.
God's looking at the world and he's kind of playing a part in his own story. He's self-inserted himself a little bit. A lot of
God
it.
is YN.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. Literally,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
So,
people are just source like experiencing itself, and like we're literally so this is like science, right? But the universe is always expanding, right? Like it never ends. Like they've never found an edge to the universe because it keeps on going and it never stops. And like my like theory on that, and like the more like voodoo theory on that, is because like consciousness never ends. We never stop expanding. Everything that we're experiencing right now is adding to the universe expanding itself because source is learning more through our experiences, whether those be good or bad. And that's why nothing's ever wasted. You can learn from literally anything, and that's like the beauty of life,
Mm-hmm.
even
I
though
like to
life
think
sucks
of it as
sometimes.
like facets on a gemstone.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
really
We're
cool.
all
It's
part of
also
the
like
same
with like
gemstone. It's just cut a different way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
and like with Jürgen Moltmann. Oh my god, one of the coolest things Jürgen Moltmann ever said, because like one of the biggest I think evangelical things people say is God doesn't change. Here comes Jürgen Moltmann, like, God is not changed by other things, but he can choose to change, which is exactly what happened with this triune God concept, right? Like, Christianity is unique from Judaism and Islam, and where it has that triune God, where God is literally experiencing himself both abandoning and being abandoned at the same time through two different points of view.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane, and that was a radical change in God as a being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, they say you mellow out once you have kids, so I can see it. Unless you're me.
And that's why God no longer does
I did
crazy
not
fireballs
mellow out
anymore.
after getting children. I definitely like became saner in certain aspects, but then in others I'm like, you know,
Like,
neurotic.
Well, let's talk about
um,
like offerings because I feel like people get confused about that. Now, here's the thing. In the Old Testament, they talk about how Jewish people would bestow offerings onto God. I want to be completely honest. I don't know if Jewish people still have a way of giving offerings to God that is exclusive to them. If anyone does know, let's I what do you know?
it's how they worship. They still wear their tassels,
Okay.
and
Hmm.
they still keep the Sabbath, and they still a lot of them still keep kosher. It's in their actual everyday life more than just we're
Okay.
gonna go kill a lamb.
Gotcha. Okay. I just wanted to put that out there because I don't want to like I didn't want to accidentally say something that was like, "Oh, that's exclusively Jewish," but I didn't have anything in
no,
my book that
no,
would
Mine
be
is
like,
from
wait.
conversion
Hold on.
and messianic aspects, though, and Nazarene church. That's where mine is like the conversion starting, and then the messianic, and then the Nazarene church. So that's where
Let
my
me tell
aspect
you.
is.
Let me tell you a really embarrassing story. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. So one of my friends is Jewish, but like they're secular, but they went to temple just to kind of get like the cultural aspect and stuff. And like I'm sitting here reading like Exodus or like whatever story in the Bible where they're just sacrificing all of these animals on these big altars. So I looked at my friend and I'm like, "Do you guys still do like all of that animal sacrifice?" And they're
Oh
like,
my
"Where are we
God,
gonna put
Sarah.
200 cows in New York City?" And I was like, "Fair."
Also, something the new temple hasn't been built yet. They can't
Yeah,
sacrifice until
that.
there's a new
But I
temple.
literally just like I just asked him like, so where do you guys sacrifice the cows? And they just looked at me like, are you a dumbass?
"Oh,
So
You
shame."
there.
know what, Sarah? It's okay. You were asking a question in good faith.
You
You
had good
genuinely didn't
intentions.
know.
I just
Like
wanted. I
Unless
just
you have
wanted
to
to.
pee, you had better not be on those stairs.
Don't be. No golden waterfall on the stairs.
Thank you.
Zero. But yeah,
jungle.
no. So, but I just remember like that was a great rebuttal. Where are we gonna put all the cows in New York City?
Yep.
Well, okay, so then how do you, give offerings to God or to Jesus or Sophia or Asherah as a witch? This, for me personally, goes back to the same way I do the pagan gods. It's just what specifically do I use for offerings. So I have playlists for all of my deities, which can be accessed by certain tiers on my Patreon. So just making a playlist for them and listening to music for them is a great budget-friendly and great broom closet-friendly way to honor any deity, but also the Christian deities. Most herbs and crystals found in the Bible can be used as offerings, but context is important. I wouldn't give Jesus figs because he cursed the fig tree, or
Okay, but honestly, I'm a troll and I would give Jesus figs because I'd be like, these are good fruits.
He wanted them.
He wanted the
True.
figs, but they weren't good, so I'd get him a
Dude,
good
he was-
fig.
Wait a minute.
My
Jesus
biggest
didn't
regret
finish
in
his
life.
sour grapes.
Listen, my biggest regret in life is not naming my cat Bowser Fig. Genuinely, I regret so hard. I'm like, this cat could have been like my little Jesus cat, and I could have named him Little Figgy Jam. But I did what my
Figgy
children wanted.
Jam.
And I
Oh my
know,
gosh. Well,
chill.
I just
Another
opened my Bible to
example.
that part where Jesus curses the tree.
Oh my god.
Oops.
He's present. He's listening. Another example
Yeah.
is in Genesis. I'm gonna be honest. I flip flop Cain and Abel all the time. I always mix them
It's
up.
okay.
Sorry if I do in this example, but whoever was the one that was favorable to God brings an animal or something, and then the one that he didn't brings fruit. So I don't know if I would give God fruit because it looks like he's not a big fan. So context is important, but for the most part, 94% of the time, you can just Google herbs and crystals in the Bible and then use those as frankincense and myrrh, mustard seeds, yeah.
Bread.
Actually, bread, wine. Yes, bread and wine, very good. But Matthew 23 is when Jesus is once again going off, and in Matthew 23:23 he goes, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint, dill, and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice, and mercy and faith. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former." So those spices are some that were important, and that's how I figured out actually that this is another good way to verify that God is the one who I'm talking to, because I'm like, God, what of these things I have do you want? And he gets to the mint and he's like, that one.
Yeah.
That. And I'm like, all right. So that's why I make mojitos with Jesus, and I make mint tea, and I leave fresh mint on the altars in the summer and things like that. But so God does like those kinds of spices. He likes cinnamon, he likes mint, dill, anise, cumin. But also those other things, right? Justice, mercy, actions can be offerings too. Like acts of compassion and justice, sticking up for people, helping people, that's an offering.
I was gonna say, my biggest offering for Jesus and God specifically, one for God is I live my life for him.
Yep.
I put him first. I work with him mostly as my deity. And anything, my best example is I work with, Venus is one of my pagan deities. I only work with Venus and Loki as pagan deities. But I work with her for love and beauty and all that good stuff. I wanted a love deity, okay? And so I started working with her, and I've been working with her on some acne I have on my back because I've had an allergic reaction to something, and that's what it did. It gave me acne and on my back, and I really hated it. So I've been working with her to clear it, and it's got since I've been doing spell work on my back, I swear, I've been doing mundane things with it, using silic acid and washing my back thoroughly and making sure there's no dirt on my sheets and being mundane. But it's definitely sped up the process, doing it magically. But before I thank Venus for it, I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you so much, God. I always put him first. I always make sure to thank him first. Just make sure he knows that, as much as I know that I'm working with this other deity and they're helping me with this specific issue, he's the one that, is facilitating it all, if that makes sense. But I also think that, me working with him and kind of trying to prove to other people that he's not an asshole, is as an offering enough. I don't know. There's other deities I definitely give different offerings to. Like Jesus, if I have wine, I'll drink wine with him. I like to like eat bread with him, like sort of thing. Like he definitely, I'll do like him. I'm not a bitch to everybody. Like I'm kind. I try to forgive people. Like I try to be nice. Like those like actions kind of thing. Like Hannah said, I have playlists for all my deities, but like God, very much. I don't think I've ever really given him anything physical.
No, that does make also. Well, this is like for me the same thing. Like I'm totally devoted to God, really alone, but like also first. Like if I'm gonna channel a deity for interview with the gods, I ask God about it first. I'm like, what do you think about this deity? What should I keep in mind? La la la. And like sometimes he has been like, you're gonna have a bad time, and I didn't really realize, and then I got my ass totaled,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, ah,
Yeah, I did have a bad time.
whoopsie. So, but things like that, I will always kind of, like, even if I'm working with someone else, like Lucifer, I will invoke God first, just to kind of check in with him first. This whole thing I'm doing, all I wanted to do was write fantasy books, dude. All I wanted to do was sit in my house and tip tap away. How the fuck did I get here? You know how, God? God said, I want you to do this. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. I think that's kind of how we all ended up here. We all just kind of stumbled into it. Like, all right, this is my life now.
I wanted to be a pastor's
You
wife for a
guys.
really long time, so like that was my goal in life for a hot minute.
All I
But
have
now I'm
ever
the
wanted
pastor
to be.
myself. Hey.
So all
Yeah,
I have ever
it's
wanted
so
to
weird
be
being a spiritual.
was the witch out in the woods. Like ever, ever, ever. That is all I have ever wanted to be was the witch out in the woods making teas and potions and having a whole bunch of animals and like people come see me if they need counsel or something. But other than that, I didn't know how the fuck I was gonna do that. But also like in Appalachia, the grannies were like that. You'd go to their house, you'd have some tea, you'd have some food, she'd pray over you and, give you whatever you needed. So it's kind of funny how it all came all the way back if you don't get back up those stairs. It's a night, y'all. It's a fucking night. It's about to be the new moon, and I can tell. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And it's a new moon in Aries, so it's like even more fiery, you know what I'm
We've
saying?
had two new moons in Aries. Pisces
Two,
got deleted this year. Like,
Yeah,
literally deleted.
yeah, I know.
yeah.
No Pisces
Well,
for you.
whatchamacallit? It's because we're moving into eclipse season for like the nodes are moving from being in Taurus and Scorpio to Aries and Libra. So now we're gonna have more eclipses on the Aries Libra axis. But so the first one is starting on literally like on 420, which is the day that the sun is moving into Taurus. Like we're having the new moon, and then like 2 hours later, it's a new moon eclipse, and then 2 hours later, the sun is moving into Taurus.
Yep.
What?
I'm so ready for. I'm
And
so ready for
then,
Taurus
and then, and
season.
then, and then, on May 5th, the day before my freaking birthday, we have a full moon eclipse in Scorpio. Like, my birthday. What was that? That's
No,
not cool.
the moon needs to quit because it's been too much these past couple days.
For real.
Oh, but just quickly to answer Layla, book's coming along great. I keep thinking I'm still on chapter 2. You're probably thinking, how the fuck are you still on chapter 2? It's been a solid month. You know why? Because I'm going through all of the clobber verses that you've ever seen someone comment in a comment section, and each fucking verse has like oodles and oodles and oodles of things that I could say. I spent 3,000 words on just Deuteronomy 18:10. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. There's a lot because there's like so many intricacies of what it actually means. So now I just have a couple small pieces of like one Galatians, one Revelation left, and that's it. And then I can move on to anything else. But that's a solid like 30 pages of the book so far, like right there.
Yeah. Wow. Good for you, Sarah.
It's redonkulous. But the good news is it is moving. It's going. So this is why it's happening in March though, because it's going to take a long time to write it all and then also edit it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have an outline for a book in my head, and it will come out when it comes out. Watching
Coke
Sarah and Mimi's progress on the book has been so cool because we have a group chat and they talk about it, but it's
Yeah.
also like, how are you guys doing this? Like,
I'm in the
crazy.
same boat as you had. I literally have a book. I have half the content written out, but like I need the time to like put it down, and two, format. You know?
Yeah.
I
No, this
have
is where
one
Mimi.
notebook, and any idea I get, I write it in that notebook, and then I have to like go back through and flip it, and then add it to the Google Doc. I have 7 different Google Docs open to run at any point in time, and then I'm just like, "Here, Sarah, take these," and she's like,
No,
"Thanks." Like,
literally. Okay,
No,
this
I
is
just have a
where
huge
Pisces
Google
Virgo.
Drive.
yeah,
Yeah, I just have a huge Google Drive where I throw everything in, like podcast episodes, ideas, things. Or my favorite is I have like a private Discord server with my friend Charlie, and I'll just like randomly message them, like, in June, do this spell, and then pin it. What the
Ellie, come on
fuck?
with me now. I'm
And then
making
No,
eventually
decisions.
but
it'll turn into something.
this is why. Well, this is why it's so hard. Like I think in the beginning, right? Like the last few months of 2022 was just reading, and like the first couple months of 2023 was just reading, like just getting notes and the basics. But it's also putting the outline together because academic books, you really need an outline to know where the hell you're going. But this is where like
Yeah.
that Pisces Virgo like pairing comes out in full because like Mimi's a Pisces and I'm a Virgo, so Mimi's like I have all of these ideas, and then I just take it and I start putting it in Excel, and I'm like, all right, nailed down. Here's the plan. By the schedule, everything to the minute, and it's just it's hell, but it's a good hell.
But, kind of going with our topic, that is ways that we all honor our deities. We are all like trying to write to tell other people the truth about like this is who Jesus really was, and you can be a Christian witch, and here's why. And not everyone's going to be able to write a book, but if you have your own ideas about who these deities are, just journaling about them or reading about them, studying them. And that goes for any deity, like just learning about them is such an amazing way to honor them, and is a decently broom closet friendly thing that you can do by reading things online or a Kindle app on your phone or whatever, is a great devotional act to any deity.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
I remember when my parents were like up in arms with me about witchcraft when they didn't get it yet when I was 14, and I literally told them I'm like, so long as I have access to the internet, you cannot stop me. Like I will find a way. And they're just like like
My
they were
mom
like
would
all
have taken
panicking, all
away the
freaking out.
internet.
Yeah, well, Jasper.
Well, I mean, you
Oh,
gotta go to school
no.
in the library at some point, Like
Him good
I
boy.
want to like really quick. This
Yeah.
like person down there keeps talking about Lilith, and like she does not despise anything. Like she cares about people's character. So
Mhm.
like it doesn't matter what gender you are. Like she doesn't care if you're male, female, nothing, like non, whatever, like both. It doesn't really matter what you are. She very much works with people based on like who they are. So like she works with my husband because he's a dude who like supports his woman, but also needs his own like self-confidence sort of thing. So like
Hey,
she
congrats.
doesn't care, you know what I'm saying there, but she also works with me. She definitely like she'll work with anybody as long as you're cool kind of
Yeah,
thing.
the
Sorry.
reason why there is the stereotype about Lilith not working with men is because
Oh yeah.
not all the time, but sometimes men ain't shit. So it's those specific men that she doesn't work with. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah,
she'll
I
fuck them
mean,
up.
that's what I'm saying. If Lilith has a problem with a guy, she'll just eat him. Like
Yeah.
whatever. Like
She's a man eater. That's that. Like no, she's if you feel like she's reaching out to you, it's probably because she wants to work with you. Like
Yeah.
she's very direct.
yeah.
So before I get
Um.
interrupted again by children, uh, just so you know, you don't need an altar.
Yeah.
No.
You don't need
Yeah.
a
You
physical
don't need one.
altar. You can either keep the thought in your head if you're in the broom closet. A lot of the things that I do as a folk practitioner, and also because I have ADHD, is I just keep it in my head, kind of like my own little happy space. And Lena will know what I'm talking about when I say I had a war room. Yeah, I did. But my war room had candles and pictures of all kinds of different things, and I did my incense, and I did all the things that they told me I couldn't do because that was really witchy, and you're not supposed to do that, and I did it anyway. But I kept the essential idea of like my prayer. Literally, my prayer was the most devotional thing that I could do, was the act of communicating. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to have all this big stuff. If you are broke or you are in the broom closet, you don't have to have a whole bunch of stuff.
No.
You can
You just
literally
need your body.
just meditate. Just listen to those like pink noise, binaural beats, the guided meditations, whatever, and just like chill and focus on who you want to talk to. That helps a lot.
Yeah. No, literally, it is almost funny to think about, but God really does value when you just spend time with him. Like, he's absolutely
Mm-hmm.
the dad on the boat with the fishing gear, and he's like,
Yeah.
let's go fishing for 4 hours. Like, just hang out with him a little bit, and he will be jazzed.
Now, as far as everything else goes, it's just those little notions. A lot of what everybody was saying, where they're doing like the act of devotion and the act of those, a lot of mine is the same thing. It's the personal act. So where we're called to not be boastful about what we're doing in the Bible. You know, it says not to boast about the acts that you do for God, but you will know them by their works and their love. So when I go through and do things, I'm not drawing attention to myself when I do it, but when I do an act of service, when I donate, or when I do food cleaning, or when I do, you know, I make something for somebody who was sick and I made food for their family, something like that, that gets a prayer, that gets some extra spices for like kitchen yummy stuff, and then bippity boppity paprika, as Sarah says. But when it's all just, if your words really have that power, if you believe your words have that power, then a prayer will be the most important thing that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
The thought and the holding it in your heart, those are going to be the most important things that you can do, because all in all, at the end of the day, all they want you to do is believe. You don't have to get big and bad over it. You don't have to go crazy over it. Now, I have 2 altars. Personally, I have one in my room, and I have one in the house. The house one has, currently I am working, I have the Asherah candle that I got from Hannah's store, because she, as my big protector, she is here in the front. I have a candle for God on the other side. There's like one side is God, one side is Asherah. In the middle is my house spirit, because you got to talk to your house. And then I have like my things that I incorporate into my family and my house. So I have a mini besom, I have some crystals, and I have like things that my kids put up when we changed the season. So like we had palm antlers for Christmas, and now we've got like, we'll have little flowers come up, or like whatever they paint, their little rainbows, those are up around my altar. It's just a matter of like who, you know, I change it kind of with the seasons or with the spell that I'm doing, but I didn't do spell work for a long time. Why would I need an altar if I wasn't doing spell work? I was literally just praying and putting that power of God and power of prayer into what I was doing. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to change them out. You don't have to do keep it clean. Dust it every so often. Don't just leave it thick and Lena.
We're not going to look at me right now, okay?
No,
It's
you
not.
only
don't
because
like-
it's bad for your
And the
air to breathe
clusterfuck
in
that
off
my
that
altar is, we're not.
No, I have one in my room that just like sits there, but I change my seasonal guest altar every season 4 times a year.
Yeah.
I've given up on my altar. I just gave up. Listen, I have no energy to do an altar, but I have a big backyard. So I have a really beautiful tree in the front that I gave to Asherah. I have a nice tree on the side that I gave to Lilith, and I'll go leave like food scraps under them, you know. And then I just have different things in my house that remind me of my deities. Obviously, I have my old altar space. I keep a bunch of crystals on there and like, all this bullshit, and it's just really, it's messy. It's not, you know, I have a little Asherah kind of like statue on there that I keep for her. It's messy, but it's not anything serious. So, but I like to have things throughout my house. So, like, I have a picture on one of my walls that it's a painting, and it has Genesis 50:20 on it that says like you intended all this for evil, but but God has used this for good. So I use that, and then like you know I'll have in my house I have different crystals, and I have you know like just different things that will remind me of my spirituality. I don't feel like you need an altar. Alternatively, if you like are in the broom closet or you're a scatterbrain like me and you don't want to have a physical altar, you could do one online. You could have like an Animal Crossing island that you dedicate to your deities. You could do
Pinterest boards.
Pinterest boards. That's exactly what I was
Oh
about
my
to say.
God,
Pinterest
that's so
boards.
crazy.
Playlists, like we were saying before, those played music can be an altar. Like why, you know, it talks all about in the Bible how like music is worship. So like listening to things that remind you of God can be an offering. It doesn't have to be worship music. Oh God. No, it does not have to be worship. That's the key word here. I would not be streaming as much music as I do for my deities if I only was listening to worship music every day. Like, no shade. Love me some like Hillsong, love me some Elevation every once in a while.
Go downstairs.
But no. But yeah, that's, and I also like I like dress for my deities. So I try right now, like as an offering, I like really, because I've been working with Venus, she really likes, different clothes. So like I wear more girly clothes now to kind of please like that aspect. One, I like girlier clothes and I never like let myself lean into it. Um but I listen to, or whatchamacallit, I dress a lot more girly, like working with her, a lot more pinks, like I wear Taylor Swift merch without being embarrassed about it, like kind of thing, like makeup, like sort of thing like that. Like makeup's a big offering for Venus. But yeah. What Taylor Swift song do I relate to Lilith? All of Reputation. All of
The whole
Reputation.
ass album.
The whole album, but like if we're gonna talk specifics, probably, even though it's not my favorite, probably I Did Something Bad. Look What You Made Me Do. Look What You Made Me Do is mine that I work with her with, like
That's a
straight
solid
up.
one.
I know it's a basic song. It's so basic, but I think it's one of the ones I'm really excited to hear live. I'm so excited for the basics. It's horrible. Who do I all work with, or do like all of us work with? I think if they're
Uh,
asking all of us, I work with God, Jesus, Asherah, Lilith, Saint Paul, Loki, and Venus, and astrology. I'm gonna count
okay.
astrology as a deity because I basically work with it as a deity.
There got to be as like a god of stars or something. Probably somewhere in Babylon they invented that stuff.
God is the god of stars. He hung them all and gave them all names, Sarah.
I
He made
mean, yeah,
astrology.
fair. But I'm talking about like the actual practice of astrology. That was like hardcore Babylonian like
Oh yeah.
metaphysics.
That's like what's cool is because like my fam, like I'm Palestinian, I'm from that area of the world, so like
Mm.
it like feels like so like deeply ingrained in me.
With the
What is
exception
Saint Paul the
of
saint of? Being a pain in my assholes. No.
no, with the exception of like moon cycles, because moon cycles and like the main sun points and the main star points, those were really big in Judaism, like
Yeah.
huge.
That's
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Oh my
true.
gosh.
But no, he's like he's the saint of like preachers and like travelers, like like traveling preachers and people who are trying to get out the gospel. But for me, he's also a saint of chronic pain. When in 2 Corinthians 12, there's a whole point where he's saying that he had a thorn in his side and he asked God 3 times to take it away from him, but God said that to him that he's not going to take it away because his grace is sufficient enough and his power is made perfect in weakness. So I use him for like chronic pain, chronic illness, while also preaching. Okay, so that's mine. Who goes next? Name your
Who wants to go?
deities.
Sarah,
Sarah, you're up
you
in
can
Sarah.
the
first.
You were
Okay.
volunteered as tribute.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go to my back camera so I can show you guys a couple examples of altars. So when we talk about deities, this is the guest altar. This is like right by my door. So anyone coming in, they can just kind of hang out here if they want. This is the spring version. I got Mary there. There's all the Easter stuff. I have Michael's pin here. So Michael's someone I hang out with a lot. And other
Bless
angels.
you, Mimi.
Over here is the fun space. This is the demon altar. This is where we have Lucifer mainly, and whoever else wants to
Little
pop by.
ghost.
Mostly,
Oh, there's the Cuban
yeah,
cigar. That's so
yeah.
cool.
Little
But you
cigar and a
notice
knife on
that
there.
show them it's just like a little thing that you have your lamps on. It's nothing major, guys. You don't have to
Yeah,
have these big
this is
major constructs.
no. This is my bar cart. This is where I have like all of my
That's
good booze.
appropriate.
It's like yeah. So I was like, you know what? They can go on the bar cart. I have
Thank
my
you.
house spirit, who I don't think he really likes to be on camera, but that's my little buddy, and he's just a domovik who protects the house. And I have noticed that we lose power significantly less now that he and the tree are here. I do have one in my room too, but like that's in my room.
Quit.
So
No.
but yeah, so basically it's God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. I view them as like one unit, so I'm always like talking. When I talk to God, I'm actually addressing all three of them. Sometimes Jesus specifically will step forward,
Hmm.
but it's those three, and then it's Lucifer and Michael, and also these Slovenian gods like Kresnik, Vesna, Veles, Morna. Those ones all pop in from time to time as well. I have some really fun stories with those guys, but those are the main ones.
So I have my I'm not gonna show the full thing, but I have my Christian deity altar lit back there. I honor Sophia and Asherah, but I don't like hardcore work with them right now. I do work with God and Jesus, or Jehovah and Jesus. Aries, Loki, Karnanos goes in and out, but like Loki and Aries are very prominent in my practice right now. And as far as the demons go, Asmodeus is probably the most prominent of the demons. Beelzebub pops in and out, but I have him for something private. And Lilith pops in and out. She's been more frequent because my cat just had kittens and cats and all that. But a big thing, probably the easiest thing that I can do is listen to my playlists for them just while I work throughout the day. That just helps me to be reminded of them and like connect with them. And again, I have all of my deity playlists for them on certain Patreon tiers, but like there's a really good band called Sleep Token, which if you look into their lore, they are technically a pagan band, but like I use their songs for my deities too. And they have a song called Chokehold if you're looking for like a non-Jesus worship song that is perfect. And I have Motionless in White in every playlist, but I hate talking about that because every time I make a video about it, will tag Chris, and I'm like, no, he sees me being weird on Twitter enough as it is. Don't bother him with this.
That's why my obsession, Hannah, is so much better, because Taylor Swift's never going to see my fucking videos. Like,
Chris
thank
sees
God
so
for
much
that.
of my stuff, and I digress. So, yeah, if you can, like, make a playlist for your deities, that's, like, one of the best ways to, yeah.
I agree with you. I like the music. That's my favorite.
I think learning to, like with Lucifer, right after this, when
Mimi,
we
you
get
are
off and...
muted.
Oh.
You're trying to, you muted yourself. I don't know. Don't
Oh
say
my
what the
god.
I know. But real quick before Mimi says something, like right after this, I'm gonna get off and hang out with Lucifer. And sometimes an offering is just reading, because like the reason I work with demons is to kind of, I feel like actually you learn more about God literally everywhere. So I really want to dig into this book because through demons I learn more about God. So it's
Yeah.
all very much wrapped up, but it's also deconstructing more. So like my offering to Lucifer is just like being open and willing to meet them where they are and learn more about them from their level.
Yeah. Mimi, what you got for
Something
us?
going on?
Am I still muted?
No, you're fine.
No, you're good. You're good.
Y'all pray for me. God. All right. So, most of the stuff that I listen to, like as far as music goes, is really brain. Come on. Fucking COVID brain fog. Let's go. Americana, folk music, a lot of bluegrass, newgrass, things like that. Back in the day, okay, so there are times when deities will not work with you, and that's okay. Like the most recent experience I have of this is honoring my German ancestry. And so I was doing a lot of work with Frau Holt, and then after Yule, she left. Her poppet is gone. When I say it's gone, it is gone. Like it is nowhere. The children didn't get it, the dogs didn't get it. It's not in a cabinet somewhere. It's gone. So she is like, thank you for remembering me, but you're not the one I'm working with. Before that, I did work with Hecate for a little while when I was first starting out with the witchcraft and Wicca back when I was a teenager. And I found her to be very understanding. She was very much like with I'm not going to say like the cool wine aunt, but very much the aunt that you go see and she'll let you get away with some shit, but she has more to teach you than anything else. Like she has the stuff to teach you that your mom's not going to teach you. So that was pretty cool. And then the Morrigan was like, hey, this is mine. Hey, give her back. You can't have her. And then since I was like 15, I followed the Morrigan. I specifically work with Babd. So I work with the Banshee side, the warrior side, because I am a chronic people pleaser and I also had a lot of trauma. So I very much lean into her when I really need to put that armor on and basically be a bad bitch. God has always been there in some way, shape, or form, like through my raisin, Pentecostal, and even some Southern Baptists. We're not proud of it, but we did. We went through it. But the more I got into that and leaning into like the folk side of everything, the more I was just like, oh, okay, well then I'm going to start, like, God is always there. He is like the sun. He is just, whether I do anything or not, God is just there. He's there. I can't live without him, and that's how it works. And then Astra is the moon, reminds me to be myself, to, and, you know, be introspective and all that fun stuff. But I really work with and sing to and like do all my things to Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And then I fucking Gabriel. Dude, I'm going to go ahead and say it live because I ain't got no shame anymore. So I have a clear ability. I have always had clear abilities, and I have always had, and this is one of those things in the church. That's why it was like the synchronicity between magic and everything is I had a gift of knowing from God. Praise God. She has been blessed with the gift of knowing, and it fucking sucks, but we're here now. So So working with Gabriel has been helping me to accept my truth, live through my truth, and to lean into the whole, I understand I'm actually getting messages, and this is what I need to like write down and do a deeper study and not just be like, yeah, whatever, this is fine. And then who is the other one? And now I can't remember. Oh, as far as Astra and Sophia goes, I actually believe that Astra and Sophia are the same person. I believe Asherah, like Sophia, is the incarnation of the Holy Spirit, and that is part of Asherah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I kind of believe that too, but I also just believe that they're separate. They're same but separate. Same thing with the Trinity. Does that make sense?
Same,
Yeah.
like
facets
what
and-
quaterny, what is the 4 version of Trinity? Whatever that, like.
Yeah. Well, no, so I
Those are
believe in the
common points.
male aspect of the Trinity. So, like, you know, like the Father, Son, like the Holy Spirit, like Jesus is Spirit. And then the female aspect, like, you know, the Mother, Daughter, Holy Ghost. So, like Asherah, Mary, and then Sophia.
So
Does that
God
make sense?
sent Jesus in his likeness and image, and then Jesus said the Holy Spirit will come. That's Asherah. Say hi to Mom. She's here. Hi. Like, that's how my brain sees it.
Yeah.
The way that it's very similar to Eastern Orthodoxy. They have like the double
Yeah.
Trinity. Or anyway, I don't know if that was.
It makes sense.
We're vibing. And then just the general, I do a lot of ancestor work. And when I say do a lot of ancestor work, I mean like my mama comes and talks to me, and I don't really like it because she comes at the most inopportune times, or like I have dreams with her, or like lately the woman who lived in this house before me was a big homebody, and she still comes by every so often, so she's like part of the spirit of the house. And let me tell you what, grandma scares the shit out of me when she just pops up behind me and I'm coming down the hallway. Like, no. But as far as like bigger, so I also for a little while there worked with the Egyptian.
You were just everywhere. You were just...
When I say, well, I was really trying to learn about everything. So, and I felt like if I understand the Egyptian pantheon, I'll understand Judaism a little bit better, because think about where they were, and think about where they were for so long. So I looked at how like the magic was influenced through, you know, Egyptology and there, and also hyperfocus. But they were once again those deities who were like, we appreciate you recognizing us, thank you for being here, but you're not ours. And the same thing happened when I was like obsessed with Persephone forever, and she goes, this is cool, then not me, not my death side. You need to go back to back and go chill with her for a bit. She's yours. And then I have an aspect of Mary Magdalene now that I've been working on the more I research her, that she actually has a lot to do with both like the embodiment on earth and in heaven. So that dual spirituality and that introspection is really helping too. So like I can see everyone from this pantheon, from the Abrahamic pantheon, in little snippets everywhere else, and it's really cool. So I don't have to necessarily have more unless they tap me on the shoulder, and then I'm just like, please take a number.
yeah.
Oh my god.
That's kind of how I feel like with all the entities I've talked to. Like, we just hit our 50th interview with some spirits, saint, angel, demon, god, and so of those 50 spirits, I think a collective like 4 of them are actively in my practice all the time. because sometimes they're there to chat and then they leave. Also,
Yeah.
we should definitely also one day talk about spirit physics, because the more I engage with spirits from other cultures, the more I'm like, we all have somehow very similar ideas here about how spirits work, and all of these gods seem to know each other in some capacity. So it's
Yeah.
very
They all
weird.
come from the
Like,
same place. So, I mean, like, of course they got to know each other somehow.
it's so weird though, because you're just like, Kuan Yin, what do you mean you know about Virgin Mary? And she's like, yeah, I mean,
Well,
yeah.
and again, like the more you research deities, seeing how similar they are, like Loki and Ares both have children that are like dragon serpents.
Yeah.
Like what?
I was about to say
Just
horses, and I'm just be like,
they can both shapeshift. They like
I
yeah.
ain't gonna make Aries mad right now. It's not okay.
He'll live. It's fine.
Valus
Oh
too.
my
Valus
god.
just is a dragon, and he fucks with Perrin for fun. But he doesn't like to be compared to Loki, though. He's just like, he's a cool
Right.
guy, but I'm not him.
And so, like,
But
and the other thing is, only certain deities will talk to me in a certain way.
Mhm.
So, like with the Morrigan, she's also someone I talk to a lot with dreams. But there is one very specific deck that she will only ever use. It has only ever used, and that was the Dark Woods Tarot. And before that, it was the Malefic Tarot. And I don't think you can find the Malefic Tarot anymore. I got that when I was 12 from an offhand comic book store. So I don't even know if you can find it. But those are the only ones. If I wanted to talk to a saint, it's literally like heaven's operator board sometimes, where I light God's candle, I light another candle for the angel, I light Jesus's candle, and I'm like, I need to speak to somebody, please answer the phone. Like, and it's usually a random angel that's coming. It's like, hi, how can I help
dial
you?
the extension at any time. Yeah, oh my god.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I'm just
wait,
like,
there's a good question here. Jesus tends to show up with one of my guides. Have you experienced him interacting with others? Jesus is
Yeah.
really emo when other spirits are around.
No, for you?
No, okay,
For
well,
me?
in fairness, they were demons, but
Okay,
so Jesus
but
was
no, for
wicked
me,
emo with the
he's like
demons.
super like talk to them. But I think this is because I have the tendency to be antisocial, so he gets excited when I try to make friends. So
No,
that's
okay,
just
I was like,
Jesus is
I
like,
was, like,
tag, you're
vibing.
it, your turn.
no, who was it? It was King Payman, Lucifer, and Michael, and then Jesus was just kind of there, like, with a hood on, just, like, observing, and I was like, are you gonna chat? And he's just sitting there, like, no. And I was
No.
like,
See how
okay.
this is gonna go. Whenever I feel like whenever Loki is with me, Jesus is like sitting in the corner with popcorn, and he's like, "I know how this is gonna go, but I want to watch it unfold, and it's going to be very entertaining."
Yeah, he just likes to
I
watch
feel
a lot
like
of
Jesus
times.
and Loki like hang out together for me, and like I'll, if I because Loki's a chaos deity, but like Jesus is a wine deity. But like if you add enough wine, you get the chaos. So
Jesus and Dionysus, for the same reason, are
see,
also
I wanted to work with Dionysus in the worst fucking way, and I'm trying to justify it. I'm like, it's gonna be healing for my inner child because like I used to be obsessed with Percy Jackson, and Dionysus was like my favorite character in those books, right? And Jesus and Loki like sat down and they looked at me and they were like, Lena, do you really need Dionysus? You have me and you have me. Do you really want to open that door too? I'm like, you know what, guys? Good fucking
Yeah,
point. I'll
three's a
take BL
crowd.
on that one.
I have seen people who work with Dionysus, Loki, and Apollo, and I'm like,
No,
how?
why? What's wrong with
How?
My
I've
question
had
is, how much
multiple
monster do they
people.
drink, though? Like, honestly, on a personal level, how much monster does that person drink?
I
Because
don't
I
know.
feel
I
like it
have
would
had
be a lot.
multiple people tell me that those are like their three main, and I'm like, are you okay?
So like why does
Can't
that like
imagine.
now really tempt me to like start tiptoeing with Dionysus and adding him into the party? Because
I mean,
like I
why
feel
don't you
like
just
Jesus
like
could
have
be a
him sit
nice
down and
replacement
talk
for
with them?
Apollo there, you know?
Oh my god. I feel like
God.
Jesus would really try to like keep everyone on the same page, and then he'd just be like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I don't know what, at
You
least for
get
when Jesus is
Dionysus just
alone.
listening to like
Yeah.
bubblegum bitch and like
I
Like,
Love
compare
that
them.
song.
Scream Queen.
We have a couple questions that are asking us, like, how do we talk to them better? How do we meditate to talk to them easier? And how are we, like, going about that? And I think that kind of turns in, like, can work with, like, the whole altar thing. But you guys can answer that because I don't have a choice in whether or not I get to talk to them.
Oh yeah, no, I'm maladaptive daydreaming are us because like I'm a fantasy writer, so I'm really good at visualization. They just put the images here. Like if I just like let them come, I will just get the most unprompted crazy shit.
Yeah. I
Tarot.
kind of agree with that. I start like talking and then like I'll get stuff in my head. So like I'll get like my favorite example of that is like I when I was starting to work with Venus, I needed a tarot deck for her, but I didn't want to buy a tarot deck. So I was looking at all my ones that I have in my altar. I just didn't see the point of buying a new tarot deck. I have so many that I don't fucking touch. So I'm like, let me, try to whatever. And I see the one that I use for Loki and I'm looking at it and it's like the prettiest tarot deck I own. I'm like, Loki, would it be okay if I use this with a girl, like with Venus? And like I just get the phrase like I can share it with a pretty girl. Like that's fine in my head. So like that's like how they do it for me, and it's like just like this random things that will like pop in my head. It sounds like my own voice because like I like to hear myself talk, and two, like what other kind of voice is gonna pop up in your head? I think it would be really fucking creepy if like a random like sure you can do this kind of like voice can't like that would be really
I
bizarre.
I hear Loki as the TikTok trickster voice.
Yeah.
Really?
Fuck,
That's
Yeah.
hysterical.
fuck.
So, also, side note, there are points in Aphrodite's thing, whatever it's called. What is that thing called? That's their specific poem. What is that called in Greek?
Him,
The
Yeah,
the
thank
him,
you.
yeah.
And you can't tell me reading that as well as like some of the stuff in the Odyssey that she's not also a little bit of a trickster. It's like even a little bit. You can't tell me she's so. Of
A
course, Loki would be
smidge.
okay sharing the deck with her. Like, come on.
well, yeah, like the whole like leaving Hephaestus to sneak around with Ares. Like, of course, yeah, she's got some little deviancies to
Oh
her.
yeah. Oh, I mean, like
Like,
I work with Venus, the Roman aspect of her,
yeah,
because like
but
I'm Italian, but it's like similar things. And she's just like very. I don't get trickstery from her. I get very fiery,
yeah.
um, like scary fiery sometimes. So
Yeah.
So working with the Morrigan is like going to therapy, except your therapist is a drill sergeant,
yep,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
that's a great way of
um,
describing things like that.
and if you don't actually go through, and it's not a matter, oh, I don't do shadow work, oh, I don't do it, I don't have to do any. She's going to make you look at yourself in a way that is not pretty. You are going to literally face more of the stuff that you have ignored, compartmentalized, pushed down, whether it's trauma, whether it's self deprecation, whatever it is. She's going to make you look at it and she's going to make you work through it. And on the other side of that, I feel like she is one of the only things that I have ever actually called, one of the only deities that I've actually ever called out to aside from God that has actually made me physically feel like she was present. Like, whoosh, she's here. I can keep going. So, in that kind of strength in her. Now, remember, the Morrigan is a triple goddess, and I work specifically with Bab. And as I'm growing, I will be. She has offered to show me the other sides. She's like, "You're ready now," but I have a very specific relationship with her, and that has been since I was a very small child. She has always come to me when I was a small child, and has always like led me around on her horse, followed me through the woods with deer. She's always had like bird call at me. She's always had a little house that she's like, oh my goodness, come and sit with me and eat apples. Come sit with me and have bread. Come sit with me and drink this spicy juice. I mean, obviously it's wine, but like, I've always had those kind of dreams to sit with her and talk with her. And I know this is hard, but you're going to get through it because I'm going to make you get through it. And then usually it's, a kick in the ass and then I'm good to go. But that's what working with her is honestly like. She will be mean, but it's like the mean you need to hear because
Yeah.
she loves you. You have to hear
Mhm.
it the way it's coming out. There was no sugarcoating dealing with any of this stuff.
That's
Oh
like
god.
God as hell though. That's God like for me like God's gonna make me have a praise problem because the rareness in which I get a good card from him, it's just like it's always like you're doing some fucked up shit, you need to stop, and then all of a sudden I'll get one like positive card and it's like Master has given Dobby a
A
bit
sock.
of praise. Like so I'll just like hold on to that card for a week and then like the next day though he'll be like back to the drill
Okay, but when you're talking, any of you, when you're talking with somebody through your cards and you draw a clarification card, has it ever been someone else that you didn't particularly invite, but just come up and be like, "Hey, bitch, I told you this last week." Like, has you guys?
Oh
Because I
no,
get
God
that
will
a
just
lot.
whack-a-mole them. God will be like, I'm speaking.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Like I will be well, see, and that's what like I'll be sitting here and I'll be meditating, like, okay, Jesus, let's do this, and God will be like, what did I tell you? You don't have to ask him. You already asked me. Okay. Well, or I'll be sitting with Mary Magdalene, and all of a sudden the Morgan's just like, excuse me, I didn't stutter. You don't have
Yep.
to.
Well, for me, it's more so like on behalf of the others. Like Asmodeus will be like, "Well, I think Loki was saying last week
Yeah.
that you." And I'm like, excuse you, this is not what I'm here for.
Yeah. 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 I needed something else. Quit giving me, the
Or
my
I'll just pull every anxiety card that I can, all of the swords cards, like.
I always
I
get the
hate the
Four
whole
of
Suit of
Wands,
Swords.
and I'm like, stop. I know. Just quit telling me I'm scared of shit and that I need to move. I know. Quit giving me the Four of Wands. I don't need the Four of Wands, and I don't need 1111. Fucking stop it. I
I get
know.
like Nine of Swords and then the Fool in reverse. I'm like, listen, I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
No.
No, so mine more so because like I don't grab a tarot deck that often for me because like to be very honest, I feel like this I hope this isn't not egotistical. I feel like I'm very good at reading tarot for other people. But when it comes to my like and I've been told like I give decent and accurate messages, but and I read tarot for myself. No. So for me, I do a lot of like shufflemancy. And so like I'll put like specific, playlists on shuffle. And whenever like I use Midnight Rain by Taylor Swift as a spell song, but whenever that's the first like one of the first five songs that pop up in a shuffle, or if I get like This Is Me Trying or like Mirror Ball or Evermore, I know that I need to be doing something because I'm too much of a depressed bitch at that moment. Like if they're like throwing that in my face, it's like, what are you doing right now? Why are you not addressing this feeling? Kind of thing. Because if it comes up within the first five songs, I'm like bawling from them. So I'll like be prompted to do something in regards to that. But you can do divination through, songs or music or whatever if you wanted to, and not just necessarily you know
God will give me
cards because
worship
I can't do
songs,
the cards on me.
but everyone else will give me like normal songs. Like God will give me fucking Hillsong worship songs, and I'm just like, where? Why? What is this?
See, but God can't do that for me because I have like my playlists are so like curated and it's all like within like a specific vibe, so I'll have to like discern from the vibe. Like if I have a playlist called like Crystals and Crying, and if I put that one on and like the first song, it's all like it's being depressed music.
Oh my. See, like I have my deity playlist, but if I'm not listening to my deity playlist, I just listen to my liked songs on shuffle, which
Yes.
is which is so funny because or even when I'm listening to my deity playlist, I will listen to them on shuffle. But that's such a great way to understand like are my deities here? Because even
Hmm.
if I have like
Back
I could
upstairs.
bring up
Go get Dad.
Asmodeus, but he's such an active presence in my life. I'll listen to
You need to go
his
get Daddy.
playlist and
I know.
I talk about Motionless in White again, even though I hate talking about it on witchy stuff. But like, there are songs that fit together like in a storyline, and I'll have the songs on shuffle, but he'll play like the trilogy in a row, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is on shuffle. What are we doing? How are these all playing in a row? And that is why I'm like, oh my god, there is something here.
Florence and the Machine. That's
No,
the one that's
yeah.
like, all right, I'm listening. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
my biggest one, like a big one for me with like Jesus specifically, if I put like my Crystals and Crying playlist on, is if I get freaking Solar Power by Lord. Like there's a line in it where she says like I'll share my secrets because I'm kind of like a prettier Jesus. And for me that's very much Jesus being like, why are you not communicating with other people right now? Like why are you like, and it's like very much calling me out for not doing like the things I promised I would do, if that makes sense. So like it just depends on like the song and like what it means and like what like
Come here then.
what's happening in my life at that moment.
Yeah. And just,
Nice.
yeah, when they like play specific songs for you and you're like,
Yeah.
I feel called out. Why are we doing this? Yeah.
No, for me, like I don't do a lot of like I have an Infernal Divine playlist, and then like Here's the funny difference between the music that for God and the music for demons is that the music for demons is kind of sexy, but still brutal. God's is just brutal. God's is like the Doom soundtrack. Like I don't know why, but whereas like the other ones have more like funk or like techno kind of things, which is like a little bit better, but not really. But when it comes to energy, I feel like I was like, oh, I guess I'm energy blind because like I don't really feel anything. And then I called Lucifer back in, and I don't know if you guys have ever had someone run their finger up your spine, but it was exactly
Yeah.
that, and I was like, holy I was like, please, I'm so used to being in this little holy bubble that this just fucked me up. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, I get that feeling. Physical touch from entities every now and then, and it
You
freaks me
know
out every
who
time.
touches me? And I don't even work with her. Fucking hell. My husband works with her, but she touches me? Like, that's not cool. Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. There was a child. I'm from New York. My kids are desensitized. I'm sorry.
Her dad's from Connecticut. What this is not.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
New England, New
Yeah.
England.
I was sitting. I usually.
Pretty face. I have a pretty face. My face doesn't make you nervous. How can you talk to me, guys?
To you. Okay, I love you.
Lots of
I
thoughts happening right
typically get head stitches from Anubis when I'm making deity candles.
Wow, Deity candles? These are so awesome.
She loves your deity candles, by the way. She kept trying to eat the Deadpool one. Come on.
Thank
The
you.
Deadpool.
Upstairs. Come on.
Aww. But no, usually when I'm making candles, I'll get like head, and apparently that is a thing that lots of Anubis devotees experience is like, because he's a dog.
I
And
was gonna say he's a dog, right? So
yes,
then, he's trying to get scratched behind the ears.
more recently, I think it was my guardian angel because she hasn't been like a huge presence in my practice lately. And more recently, I was like, you know what, we're gonna bring you back. And I got her a new candle and I lit it and I'm sitting in front of the altar and I swear I felt whoosh, like fingers in my. I'm like, no.
Yeah, right. So we're about to fight. But I hate feeling like something's behind me. That's like the one thing, and that's what demons love to do. They're like, "Hello, I'm
Yeah.
directly right
I
here,"
was
and I'm like,
literally just going to say I had a not good experience with a demon at some point, and I'll share like the full story when I'm not as traumatized from it. But I told you guys in the group chat. But anyway, the entire time I felt like somebody grabbing my like the back of my neck where that like portal is and like trying to pull at it. And my friend does angel work after like everything was said and done because I had told her that I'm like I feel like somebody's trying to grab the back of my neck while we're here. We ended up leaving, and after it was all, she's like, Lena, that like that's a place where like like bad entities try to get into your bodies like through there, and I'm like, I
"Oh my God, I've seen."
There's been a handful of times where I've gone live by myself, and I know that Osmodius is behind me, but I don't say anything about it. But then someone in the comments will be like, "Is Osmodius behind you?"
Ew.
And then I have to leave, and then I have to go. Like,
Yeah, that's why I said ew. Like, oh,
I don't mind.
because it's like,
I
but
get
it's
so
like it's so weird.
desensitized so fast that I'm just like, that's just where he is now. Like,
Isn't it funny? Though? It's like we
Meanwhile-
love them, we're aware of them, we know them, but then when they do that shit, it's like foul. Flag on the field.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, mine was non-consensual, so mine was actually foul. So I'll take. So I can
that's
say.
fair. That's fair.
Fair, yeah. But no, like I guess I don't know.
creepy things.
God doesn't really do that stuff to me. But today was fun. I told all you guys, but I was doing cup reading like with coffee grounds, and I saw this image, and I was like, "There's a dog, there's a little girl, and there's an angel." And I was like, "God, all right, I know I asked you to give me that, but can you back that up?" He pulls the Ace of Wands and the Fool, which has an angel and then a person and a dog on it, and I'm like, fair. So I was like, that's kind of weird, but all right.
That was kind of weird. That's one of the weirder readings I think I've personally seen.
I was
Yeah,
just
that
like,
was
damn,
fun.
like, I was like, okay, either I got really lucky or God was very direct. It was the full reverse though, so God was definitely like, hey, what if you weren't a soft bitch? And I was like,
I love the Fool.
Your Virgo is all bark and no bite at this point.
Oh my god.
literally, I just my daily tarot routine is to wake up and get mad and then and then leave.
Oh my God. Well, we've been here an hour and 45 minutes.
Yes.
Talking
So
good
perhaps
stuff, so.
let's do our last go round of where the people can find us and all of our stuff. Sarah.
All right. Yes. Hi. I'm the host of today's live, and you can find this again tomorrow on my YouTube. So I got a YouTube, I got an Instagram, I got a Patreon, I got this thing. I also do have a website where if you guys sign up for my newsletter, once a week I send out a letter about all the stuff, like blogs that I write about Christian witchcraft and other things, stuff that's in the shop like tarot readings and other stuff that you guys can check out, books that Mimi and I are working on right now, and other such things. Basically, if you just go to the link tree in my TikTok bio and just have a blast in there, it's a whole ass wonderland in that link tree. So enjoy that. I also write fantasy books, so if you like fantasy and you don't want to think about witchcraft, there is one of those there too. I'm just saying.
I have a Patreon where all of my deity playlists are. I know people were saying you guys should drop your playlists. Mine are on Patreon, and you can share your deity playlists as well as part of the Patreon thing, and that's where my Discord server is. This shirt says Christian Witch. You can get one that looks like this on my store, which can be found in the link in my bio. I also have stickers with this same design on it if you want to be a little bit more discreet, or put a bumper sticker on your car and confuse people on the highway with a sticker that says Christian Witch. It looks like this. Deity candles will be back Saturday. I will be having coffee mugs with this design eventually, but the one that I ordered was messed up, so I had to fix it and get a new prototype. And then once I see that and know that it's okay, oh God, we got some. At the end of the stream, we get a troll, of course.
Oh my god! Oh, and he's got the emojis and his little
The
loop.
fire
Christian
emojis.
Witch.
He's got
Yeah.
the copy paste, guys. He's got the
Aw.
copy paste.
I have my Christian Witch sticker on the inside of my Bible. I want you to take a good hard look.
If
Anyway.
Luke 4-8 says something cheesy, I'm coming to their house and I'm pissing in their houseplants.
Yo, fucking Sarah, I love it.
Anyways, click the link in my bio. I have a mailing list as well, and all of my things are there. Mimi, where can the people find you?
God, you fucking can't, can ya? Like, no. Now that COVID has run me through the fucking ringer, and I'm starting to post some more stuff. You'll see me on TikTok every so often. Everything I upload to YouTube right now is just like transferring some shorts over from TikTok. So if you already follow my TikTok, go follow my YouTube, and hopefully it'll be like, hey, guess what? You get to put ads on your YouTube now and actually make it worthwhile. And I'm just like, yeah. I do have a blog that it has one post on it, so we're not going to talk about that. I will have a link tree eventually, but literally, like, I got taken out at the fucking knees by this shit, and I literally feel like I'm starting from all over. I am so happy I can at least get on and do these. That's where I'm at right now. So just keep an eye on my TikTok for a little bit, and if suddenly TikTok goes bye-bye, go find me on YouTube. It's literally everything you could find me on is Feral Southern Housewife. Literally everything.
Yeah, no, so Linktree you can find us pretty much anywhere. Lena, what you got?
Yeah. So I have in the link in my bio, obviously my link tree, I have a free Discord group. I have a podcast called the Jesus Witch Podcast where I talk about this kind of stuff every single Monday. I also have a Patreon where you can get like early and ad-free episodes of podcasts, transcribed episodes of the podcast, spell work stuff like tarot spreads, all the things on there. I have an Etsy store where I do tarot readings, astrology readings, Bible-based spells, all that stuff. But yeah, just click the link in my bio. I have a YouTube, all the things. Go to the Discord. Discord's like where it's at. But that's me. And follow me here on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's where I do
Follow
most
all
of my
us.
shit. Yeah.
And support
All right,
all of
and-
our efforts.
We are trying very hard to make all of this information as accessible to you guys as possible. Even then, a lot of us do this for a living. I think at this point, all of us do this for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, most of my stuff is like Christian witchy homeschooling. So like for the mums with littles and stuff, this like most of the stuff that I will be putting out is all based on the homeschooling aspect and how we're implementing things and how I as a Christian witch teach my children. All that fun stuff. So you can take it and run with it yourself. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Yes. So all
Y'all
that
are
all
so
that good stuff.
tired.
I think the homeschooling stuff is very, very cool. No, we're all gonna take a long nap. I'm gonna have the most hardcore drink with Lucifer. But yes, so we do these every other week. So tune back in 2 weeks from today, same time, same place. We will be here talking about a new topic. And if you guys want to leave us comments and like questions that you have in the meantime, absolutely just say like, hey, for your next live, blah 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 blah, right? So do that,
Hmm.
because otherwise we get a lot of questions. So if you want to make sure we see one and for the live, signal that you want it for the live, and we'll be able to see it a little easier. But otherwise, yep, we will be
In
back at it. This will be up tomorrow on my YouTube. If you guys want to, if you missed some of it, blah blah. And otherwise, that is that.
in the comments, don't DM me. I will ignore it because of ADHD. If you want to know something, just go find a
I'm
video
also
and leave
really
it in the
bad with
comments.
DMs,
That is
guys.
why I
Yeah,
have a Discord group because I DMs go to die to me. So
Don't
you have a
DM me on
question for me?
Discord
Use
either.
it's
Discord.
so bad. Like I had DMs open because I wanted to answer questions, and then I just got too many, and I'm like, I literally like I will be here
No,
for 3 hours trying to answer these. So
no.
I don't know. I do have something interesting to share about that coming up soon, but I will share that later. It's currently still a secret, but I will tell you guys later. Yeah.
All
So,
right, let us go to
Night,
bed for today.
everyone.
All right.
okay.
Good
Yeah.
night.
See you guys. Bye.